In today's video, we're going to be talking about these little devices, foldables. There's something about folding phones that just kind of feels really special. It's nice to have a regular slab phone on the front, and then you open it up and you've got this larger screen to play with for many different uses. And there's just something about opening and closing a device that feels almost like a book. It's really exciting. And so I get a lot of questions anytime I pull my phone out about foldables. Are they durable? Are they any good? What can you do with them? And I wanted to take some time to try to answer that in this video. So we're going to be diving into that. I'm going to be speaking from my experience using the Pixel Fold, but most of the information that I'm going to give you guys deals with foldables in general and my thoughts on whether they're ready for purchase in 2024. Now, one of the biggest selling points with foldables is that larger interior screen. And the nice thing about it is it's great for watching movies, multitasking, or if you just want to have a larger screen for gaming. And the fact that you can carry this all in a small form factor really makes it convenient. I mean, one of the things that makes it so nice is it's almost like you're carrying around a mini TV in your pocket. And I will say that, particularly dealing with the Fold, these are great for that use and for content consumption in general. Now, if you're a gamer, this is another area where foldables can tend to shine. It's nice to have that larger display when you're playing games. You can spread your thumbs out a little wider, you have a little bit more space to work with. And then if you were to put it into something like the Backbone One, maybe you're into emulation or anything like that, then it also feels like having a little mini game console that you can fold up and take with you on the go also. All in all, I'll say there's a huge difference when it comes to gaming because you have the huge screen real estate to be able to use, and it just feels more immersive. In addition to that, one of the other areas where foldables really shine are reading documents or reading books. In fact, there are a lot of apps, such as the Kindle app, that give you a very close or similar experience to having an actual book in your hand. And I really like this form factor because sometimes it does feel like I'm scrolling through a book and turning pages. And I also get larger text on the screen to be able to see what I'm reading. I also find that web browsing is a little bit better on a foldable like this. It's nice to be able to open up the phone and have more screen real estate when you're looking at web pages, and sometimes they're just designed for larger screens. It just makes it easier to read overall, especially if you're looking at documents or you have something to sign. It just makes for a better viewing experience in general. Now, most foldables also offer multitasking as a feature of the phone, with the Pixel Fold being probably the more basic when it comes to this feature, and then the OnePlus Open and the Z Fold 5 and 6, now that it's been announced, have more robust features when it comes to multitasking. But it is nice to be able to have maybe a YouTube video up, and then maybe you have Google Messages up and you're talking to friends, and then maybe on a third screen you've got a floating window, or just the ability to copy text and move things in between windows is really, really nice. And I know it only helps to make our ADHD worse, but it's nice to be able to fully use that screen real estate and run multiple apps at the same time. Now, even though multitasking is cool, I honestly feel like these are built more for content consumption. If you have some serious productivity work to do, this is probably not going to replace your laptop, but it'll get you by in a pinch. Now, one of the other features that I really think is cool about foldables are the camera features. It's nice to be able to prop up your phone somewhere and you can take a photo or take a selfie of yourself. But I think one of the coolest features, and more specifically on the Pixel, I know some other manufacturers also put it in their camera app, is the dual screen mode, so that people can actually see what you're seeing through the camera when you go to take or snap a photo. And even when you're taking a selfie, it allows you to use the main sensor on the back of the camera to actually take higher quality photos instead of using the selfie cam. I think that's one of the most talked about features when I take photos of other people and I show them the dual screen mode. But there's also other features that uses the outside screen along with the interior screen on foldables. I believe Google has the interpreter mode where it will show up the language that you're trying to speak while also translating on the inside screen for you. And then I think recently Samsung announced with the Z Fold 6 that they had a similar feature. So having the dual screens and being able to utilize them, I really like that kind of innovation, and I think that's kind of where the use for foldables is really going to shine. Now let's take a minute to talk about durability, because this is probably one of the questions that I get the most. A lot of times people are really concerned about the interior screen because it folds and it bends, and unfortunately, yeah, there's still some room to grow in this area. Now don't get me wrong, foldables have come a long way from the original Z Fold when it launched all the way up to the Z Fold 6 now. The Pixel Fold, this is the first iteration of this, and they are relatively durable. I mean, I've dropped this thing multiple times and come away mostly with nicks and dings at best. But I will say I also had an incident before where I had to get this replaced because I damaged somehow the interior screen and it cracked on me. So that is still a possibility, but I will say, just like any other phone, try not to drop it. If you don't drop your phone or you don't get anything caught in between the inner screen, typically you should be okay. And as manufacturers continue to get better at building foldables, I think we'll see more durability, and they'll probably become a little bit more widely adopted because you have less of a chance of damaging and breaking them. Now, no device is perfect. I mean, I've listed some of the things that I actually do enjoy about owning a foldable, but I will be honest, there are some drawbacks that come with it as well. And the first one being the price of these. Now, your average iPhone typically runs anywhere from like $900 to $1,000. Most of these are like $1,800 to $2,000. I think with the OnePlus Open being the cheapest on the cheaper end at about $1,400. So they are pricey, and unless the price of these comes down, I don't really see people really adopting them as much as they do a slab phone. Another concern is also the weight and the heft of these. Now, like I said, as manufacturers get better at building them, they're using better materials that are lighter and stronger, which is why I'm really excited for the next iteration of the Pixel Fold. This is really chunky and really hefty. I can always feel when it's in my pocket. This version in particular is very slippery, so sometimes it does slip out of my pocket as well, but you really feel when you're holding this phone, especially if you're laying down and trying to like scroll social media or anything like that. So I really hope that with time they get the weight down of these and get them closer to our slab phones that we normally carry around, something like the iPhone 15 Pro Max, because I really like the weight of that phone. And if we can get even remotely close with a foldable, then I will be extremely happy. And you know what, I want to circle back to something that I mentioned earlier. I talked a little bit about how typing can be a little bit difficult and it's not going to replace your laptop or anything like that. If you have a nice outer screen like the Pixel Fold does, then typing is fine because you can do one-handed typing, you can do swipe, or you can reach all of the keys relatively easy. But what I'm referring to more so that's more difficult is using the interior screen. Say you want to put together like a Google Doc, or if I'm writing a script for a video or something like that. Using the interior screen is just, it's not very intuitive. And I find that I type a lot slower trying to use that interior screen than when I use the one on the outside. More often than not, I find myself using voice typing because it's just much quicker. And on the Pixel Fold, it's relatively accurate, so I don't usually have to go back and do too many corrections. But I would like to see them maybe come up with some kind of software tweak to be able to reach the keyboard a little bit more easier without squishing the content that you're trying to view also. I don't know what the solution is, but I do know that it's kind of a pain point for me. And lastly, I want to talk about repairability. Now, I made a whole video about my experience when I had to get my Pixel Fold repaired. If you want to check that out, the link will be down in the description, or you can click right here for that. But I do find that, unfortunately, because you only have foldables from Android manufacturers like Samsung and Oppo, OnePlus, and Google, that you have a harder time getting them repaired. They are more expensive to repair as well, but usually they send you to like a U-Break iFix or a third-party repair center, and then they work with Google to try to get the parts, or they work with the manufacturer to try to get the parts that they need. But it's not cheap if you ever have to get them fixed, and it's not convenient either. So I will say that, like, if you are a person that you drop your phone all the time or you're very rough on phones, then right now foldables may not be for you because you may have a hard time getting it repaired. So our foldable phones for you in 2024, well, I'll say a couple things. It really depends first and foremost on what is your budget, because these, like I mentioned, are almost $2,000 phones. So if it's out of your budget, then I'm going to say no. But also it depends on what you're trying to do. I like having the latest tech, and this is pretty innovative. This feels like the future. So if you're like me and you want to have the latest cutting edge tech, well, then yeah, maybe you should try one out. But if you're concerned about cost, durability, and repairability, then I'm probably going to suggest that you stick with a slab phone for now, because at least you know what you're getting. So Those have been my thoughts on foldables right now in 2024. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm very excited for the new Pixel Fold that's going to be coming out in August. But let me know your thoughts down below. Do you like foldables? Do you own them? And who would you like to see make a foldable next? I hear Apple is toying with the idea, so who knows, maybe we'll see a folding iPhone. But that's been it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.